Welcome to my channel. I am your host, 5 minutes or less review, and I will tell you the truth, guys. In my honest opinion, my channel has not really been a 5 minutes or less review. I barely had anything to do 5 minutes or less review because too many animations are basically in this day and age are useless. I've watched a lot of them and none of them stands up to what I want to be a part of. I've not really enjoyed many of them. The only thing I'm watching right now is the Jobless Reincarnate. That's all I'm watching. After that, there's basically nothing to watch on from the animation side. But as we all know, what has happened recently on YouTube with Fresh and Fit's channel. I mean, to many of us out here in the community, we understood that this situation will always be a part of the business. From time to time, YouTube basically creates guidelines and it expects everybody to follow those guidelines regardless of what the situation is. I've heard so many people say that making money on YouTube is a privilege. I think that's not true. Because the truth of the matter is, whether you don't like it or not, is that YouTube is a slave labor market, in my personal opinion, whereby it expects you to do a lot of the work to generate traffic, and then at the end of the day, it rewards you whether it wants to or not. It's no different from going into a shop, seeing a waiter, and you have to tip the waiter, and if you don't tip the waiter well, guess what? The waiter doesn't get any money because the waiter is basically working on contingency that customers tip, and because of that, the owner of the establishment does not pay them for working. This is highly unfair. This is the same principle that YouTube is using. But anyhow, let's move forward with what has happened to Fresh and Fit. I think it's a tragedy that is happening to them, that they are no longer, they basically lost a good incentive for them to continue to be on the platform. I know that they have been in a position to really help a lot of men to make sense of the modern era, the modern world, the modern women, and a lot of some of the strategies that are being used by a lot of women out here. And in as much as I will say that I don't agree with some of the things they are saying, I can say that it's better to be strapped than not to be. It's a jungle out there, and you gotta be ready for it. So I would say it's a huge loss of incentive for them to continue to produce on their channel. Most people have likened demonetization as a kiss of death. Basically, if you don't have money, there's no point of you continuing to put effort into doing something. But then again, there are other benefits to creating a channel, and I'm guessing that Fresh and Fit is going to continue to do what they've always done. Unfortunately, they're going to have to cut certain corners in order to meet basically their own financial budget. So I'm going to say it's quite unfortunate for them, and I'll extend my sympathies to them and what is currently transpiring. The next thing we have to ask ourselves is, what actually led to this demonetization? What is it? I mean, there's a lot of speculations out there ever since Fresh and Fit got demonetized. And to be frank with you, Fresh and Fit has been singing at the top of the hilltop that sooner or later they're going to be demonetized, they are going to be put off of YouTube, and it's best for them to start creating some kind of a following or a stand or I would say, a presence on another platform. I think that's what I think they've basically done that to some degree, and I think they moved over to Rumble and a couple of other places where they do their own business right now, and sometimes they post on YouTube. But what is it that actually led to the demonetization of Fresh and Fit? There's a lot of speculations, especially from the vultures that have come to basically pick on these individuals at the time of their, their lowest form. It's like kicking somebody while they are down. I still don't understand some of these channels that are doing things like that. We have to remember that many a times people tend to, after a while when they're making a lot of money on YouTube, they tend to make it their living. And so they dedicate so much time to creating on YouTube. I mean, the money is good, and that's why people do it, but at the same time, not a lot of people actually get into that position whereby they start making a lot of money to the level of Fresh and Fit. I think they made a good amount of money. They directed traffic, especially at night. They've made a lot of friends and enemies in the process. But we cannot deny that money is the root of almost everything for people doing what they want to do. So, what led to it? Actually, I do not know. But I can speculate that they must have broken one of the guidelines of YouTube for YouTube to go ahead and demonetize them. YouTube, in my personal opinion, are enemies of free speech. I know that people want to sit down here and simply say, well, Myron and Fit or Fresh Prince or whatever his name is, basically have been doing certain things that minimize the cooperation and the input of women. I think many people have said something to that effect, and personally I don't think that that's true. What I can say about this channel is that they've basically highlighted a lot of what modern women are doing and made sure that the young men of today who do not have that privilege of getting it from other men are able to hear it from them and to work accordingly. The messages they've always given, in my personal opinion, at the beginning stages of their journey was for a man to basically meet his best position. I mean, basically get to a position that he knows that he has achieved something in his own life before chasing women. I think that's a good message. But the problem is when you arrive at that level thinking you've arrived, the women and the court system can easily destroy you. And this is where Myron and Fresh and Fit, basically I'll call them Fresh and Fit, Prince and Myron, have basically helped to some degree to level the playing field. I often say one thing, and I always say this, that without parents being in their home, you cannot regulate what they watch or they see. I don't care what anybody says, but you cannot regulate what they watch or they see. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of people try their best to shift the responsibility of raising children from the family to whoever is putting out content out there. Listen, the world should be a free place where people are going to try a lot of things. It is you as a father, you as a mother, that must raise your own children to have certain ideologies or beliefs and help them to understand certain things. I can say one thing about the late Kevin Samuel when he was around. I listened to a lot of the things that he was saying. I listened to what AMS was saying, and all many other YouTubers out there. Did I fully agree with them? No. Why is this? For one specific reason. I had fathers, multiple fathers, my uncles, our in-laws, my grandfather, my father. I had all these men plus capable women in my life that raised me with a great understanding of what is happening. In fact, a lot of the things that Myron, a good number of things that Myron has been saying, even Kevin, was said to me by my grandmother before I even heard it from these guys. And even the men in my family stressed on these things. They didn't focus on those things because they said, as a man, you need to command that situation better, you know. But you live in an America whereby a woman doesn't just follow you, doesn't know her own place anymore. So you're not just commanding, you have to move and know who is who. You know, the landscape have changed. And if you don't have a proper map to navigate it, then you're going to be in trouble. So the question becomes, what led to the demonetization? Did somebody misconstrue what their message was? Let me put it like this for you, man. Think of it like the Bible. The Bible doesn't have every answer to your problems. I would never do. What you can do is read the Bible, extract whatever good information you can get from it, see how you can apply it to modern day era, and then move from there. Right? It's the same thing with what Myron, Kevin, and every other person in this space, red pill space or manosphere, whatever it is. This is how you treat your own context. You treat it with a grain of salt. You listen to what they have to say and ask yourself how you're going to use that information to navigate in this very treacherous world. This is how men should think. You don't just take everything that somebody gives you and simply say, okay, that's the truth. No. You apply it accordingly, well, with common sense too. Somebody can speak out of passion. And yeah, sure, I can understand that. But in reality, if you use that passion every single time, people are going to say you're abrasive, you're mean, you're cutthroat. And nobody likes a person like that. That's a bad character. But sometimes in show business, you got to do what you got to do in order to get attention. So the question becomes again, what led to the demonetization of this channel? The truth of the matter is this. Nobody knows, and nobody will ever know. Am I saying that Fresh and Fit are saints? Are they saints? No, they're not saints. They're flesh and blood like you and I. They are capable of making mistakes, having issues, being wrong, and many other times even failing to uphold their own principles. So, for them being demonetized, I say it's going to allow them to basically think of new ways to approach this problem. You know, especially those associated with the audience that they cater to. So, what does this mean for them moving forward? That becomes the next question. And I would say one thing, guys. I think for them, it's going to be about trying to find other avenues to make money. You know? I know that Fresh normally spends a lot of money on his Lamborghini and other cars that he drives. That's going to have to cut off for a while. I mean, that was just really bad investment on his part. For him to be investing in cars, they basically don't have value. I mean, they're liabilities, in my personal opinion. Faith, on the other hand, which is Myron, has been doing a remarkable job of investing in homes and houses in Connecticut and I think in Florida, wherever it is. And I think, hey, I think the guy might not be too hit by this problem, but if he has tenants or if he's working on too many projects because he thought that the cash flow was going to continue, then he'll be in trouble. But I know the guy's a smart guy. He knows to do things one at a time, especially in a business environment where cash at any time was going to cut off, because he himself had informed everybody in the channel that there's always a situation whereby they're going to be removed from YouTube. And in this situation, they were not removed from YouTube, it's just demonetized. So they have to find other means of making this money. Now, here's the situation for me. I'm going to say about these guys is this. While they were doing this podcast, or while they were in the heat of this podcast, it would have been best for them to have hired somebody whose specific job was to look for sponsors for the show. That means people who basically sponsor the show. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, but they could have looked for those, while they were doing the show. The reason why I said all of this is because when you have sponsors, just take a look at what is going on with YouTube. YouTube basically looks at directing flow and then putting ads on your videos. And then they give you a small percentage of the money that they get from these ads. That's the main thing. Give me a second. They make money by putting ads on your video, and you get a little cut from these ads. Just a little. To you, 50,000 a month, 40,000 a month is big money. But to a corporation like YouTube, they make far more than that in a month. Maybe they make millions in a month. And this was something that they should have been fighting for, to get sponsors for the channel. That way, they can put these advertisements while they're doing the show. They say, hey, we're going to a commercial. Because a lot of people watch this show. 5 minutes commercial for their sponsors. And then they come back. This way, YouTube knows that, hey, these guys are supported, man. I won't go around messing with them left and right. But then again, I might be living in La La Land. So, I'm just saying. They could have gotten sponsors. They could have done their own advertisement in show. After all, radios have been doing so to keep themselves alive. And to me, I feel like Fresh and Fit was almost like a radio show. Almost like a radio show to get sponsors. They could have done that to keep themselves alive or to make money. I think Fresh and Fit still have the capacity to do so. They just have to open up their minds to make that happen. Now, what was said during the emergency meeting, that Myron and Fresh both called. I know that the emergency meeting has been called on several occasions, especially when the lead attorney had a situation with Myron and Fresh. Basically, Myron and Fresh, I think, fell into a situation whereby they went and hired these fake attorneys, copyright attorneys, that caused a problem on YouTube for them. Now, this issue of hiring attorneys that deal specifically with copyright is not a new thing. It started happening some time ago, almost, 2-3 years ago. And the first time I heard this nonsense was a guy and woman couple, right? Yeah, they're a couple. They were married, and they normally do YouTube. Got hit with copyright strikes, and many of their videos had to do with like reacting to other people's videos. So this group of people will go around and they would hit people's channel with copyrights because they are reacting to people's videos. So I think they approached Myron and Fresh and Fit, and Fresh and Fit may have just given them automation to go ahead and do so, and all hell broke loose after that. You know, I think there should be some regulation when it comes to all this copyright situation, but everybody's trying to make money, and so are these people. You know, cause the commotion left and right. But this emergency meeting that was called by Fresh and Fit was basically to indicate that they had been demonetized, you know, on YouTube, and that fans should expect a little bit of delay in getting what they want to get from the channel. Now, the question is this. The question is this. Did the Fresh and Fit mean what they said during the emergency meeting? I can tell you this. I do not know. And I will never know. But what I can tell you is that they said everything that every other person would say when faced with circumstances like this. They said that they've changed people's lives, that they can't believe that they're taking away the opportunity for them to change people's life in a positive manner. They're saying, hey, that we provided you guys with tons of content that you guys have found very enjoyable, and at this time there's always a possibility that those contents might be reduced or become non-existent. So the question becomes, did they change people's lives? And I know a lot of people are going to sit down here and say, well, they've been doing all kinds of things, they've been talking ill about women, they've been using negative stuff to get ahead, they've been causing all kind of commotion in order to make money, fast money, all those good jazz, man, all those good jazz. That's what a lot of people are going to be saying. And sure, there's some truth to it, but you also have to remember that discernment is very important when it comes to getting messages. People are allowed to have opinions. A lot of people are going to have their own facts, right? Everybody has a fact. Everybody has an opinion. And the reason why I say everybody has a fact is because if I said 49 people are dummies, right? 49% of people are dummies. To somebody else, it will mean 49 people are highly uneducated or do not have the capacity or have not had the opportunity of meeting people who are capable of helping them stimulate those sides of their brains in order to do certain things. Right? Right. And some people might look at it and say, well, 51% of people are smart. Right? Depends on how you're looking at it. But each person has their own fact based on the information that is presented to them. Some people say your math is not mathing because there's certain parameters you've not also added to any math situation that you find. So even with your own facts, there may be other parameters that you did not add in there to make the fact more factual, right? So as I say, people have different opinion of facts. But I would say this, that to me, they've done a fantastic job of showing the mindset that a lot of younger women have, the state of dating in today's world, and basically have allowed people to understand the reason why whenever they create profiles, many of the times those profiles are not functioning properly for them. I think they've really helped in many ways. Some good, some bad. But to some degree, like they always say, it's better to have some degree of influence than to never have existed or to have never done anything. We've seen how other channels have gone after them. Just like the previous times when I've spoken about this situation. First it was Pearl. Now is Fresh and Fit. Then it was the lead attorney they went after. I mean, good gracious. Everybody's trying to go after YouTube. Everybody on YouTube is almost like as if it's eat or be eat or be eaten. And one of the people who have been causing a lot of these problems, in my personal opinion, is O'Shea Duke Jackson. The guy is a vulture. Almost every situation that is on YouTube that involves somebody going down, oh, he's right there talking about, oh, we're trying to do this one for them, we're trying to do that one for them, or they're not looking at this, they're not looking at that. It's just escalating situations left and right because he just enjoys it when somebody else is going down. That's what O'Shea Duke Jackson, man. You see him every single time. Like, yo, that is not a cool way of doing things. And I've seen other channels come up and say, oh, they're talking about women in a negative light, they're talking about this and like, yo, listen, guys. Someone has to stand up for us as men. Men don't know how to fight for themselves. They never do. Other men will see other men going down, and instead of helping them, they sit back down and just watch these men suffer. But these guys have actually done something, positive or negative. They've done something to help push the narrative. It's left for other people who are a little bit more in the center to take this information that has gotten kicked up and help center it. So for those who are hating on them, simply saying, hey, it's good that they're going down, guys, please check your own self. Because tomorrow, if you've worked just as hard as these two guys have worked to get to this position, I'm telling you, it would hurt, it would sting just to lose that money. It's a lot of work, man. And it's not as if the channel has just gone down. No. Right now, YouTube is still putting ads on their shows. are making money off of it. Can you imagine this nonsense? You're making money off of them, while at the same time you're not paying them for all the hard work they've done. All these things they've built, YouTube is just using it to make themselves rich. And people don't even know. This is slavery in itself. You work so hard to get traction, and YouTube now removes you because they want to hold a little bit more of the money that you're making on that channel. All because of what? Your words? You could have held a meeting for a channel that basically draws in this amount of distance and say, hey, listen up. You guys are not following guidelines. This is this, this is that. Let's talk. Sit them down. You know? If you have to take a little bit portion of their own money, then fine, do so. But don't just cut them off simply and then don't create any situation, no avenues for them to have this situation resolved. This is what YouTube has been doing. They allow you to create those leads, and then guess what? They utilize your channel, but they will not, under any circumstance, they will not pay you. It's just slavery. I've said it and I'll say it again. It's slavery. You know? But anyway, that's enough of this conversation. I think I've spoken quite enough. 30 minutes is more than enough to speak on this fresh and fit situation. Sympathy goes to them and their channel, but I already know that they're going to be on to the next thing. You know, good or bad, they've worked hard. I think it's up to us as fathers, brothers, friends to help other people who are watching these shows to stay on the right path. You know, to learn to take or to have some degree of discernment when dealing with information like this. You know, it's no different from going and reading about certain things and you don't take the time to actually understand what you are reading. You go ahead and decide that you want to go and lecture other people on what you don't even really understand. You know, although immediately you're going to realize, oh, I don't even know what I'm talking about. By the time you reach the students, you know, and they're asking you good questions, and in many ways that will not be harmful. But in this kind of situation, when you don't take the time to break down information for people who are a little bit dunce when it comes to taking information from the internet and utilizing it in their own personal life, it can wreak a lot of problems. But that's not what they did. If YouTube was saying that, oh, their message is bad, they would have just cut them off completely. But they didn't do that. They just took away the money, and all they're doing is holding it for themselves alone. Anyway, that's my own 2 cents. It's been 30 minutes, and I know I'm beginning to ramble right now, so I'm going to have to cut it short right here. But I thank you guys for tuning in. Fresh and Fit, you guys know what's going to happen. Although I don't watch the channels a lot because I'm too busy. But I would say that it's best to always stay focused on producing, keeping the business alive, basically. Alright, that's me. This is 5 minutes or less.